Hello, this is the DIY Magician, and we're on the continuing journey finding how to be funny. And I'm here with
Jim Kleefeld.
Jim. Thank you very much for coming with me on this journey today. I want to start off with something easy, and the first one is, who is your comedy inspiration?
I don't have a single comedy inspiration, but I do love some of the old classics. Buster Keaton, I think, was probably one of the funniest people because he did so much physical comedy. I also like some stand-up comedians, people that I've kind of watched on television. I think Bobby Collins is probably one of the funniest stand-up comedians because he's got a little vocal, a little inflection, and he finds ways to pair things. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, I want you to know that you're one of my comedy inspirations. So I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but no, you are on that top list there. You and Barry Mitchell,
Okay.
Battling it out. So
We actually have boxing gloves we're going to take later. So.
We'll have to see.
I jumped on the battling thing.
That's right. Now, I need to ask this question. What is funny to you? What is funny to you?
I find things funny if they're very strange or unusual, and particularly things that are unexpected. For example, somebody that I can't remember talks about going through the McDonald's drive-thru and finding a little notice on there that says, literally, "We have Braille menus available." On the drive-thru.
On the drive-thru.
It wasn't meant to be funny. I just find stuff like that funny.
And if they had it in Braille, that would be even more funny.
It wasn't even in Braille. You had to be able to read that. It was like, one of my favorite bumper stickers from a long time ago that said, "Illiterate, write for free booklet." That's sort of wrong on three levels all at the same time. So.
I think I've heard of the billboard on that one. It's something similar. It's the same thing, but on a billboard. So. At least they don't have to trail a car to get the information.
They have a video. They have a booklet and you can't get it unless you write for it.
That actually, again, you're my comedy inspiration. It's the subtleties of your comedy that I love, and that's, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot again. So
that's all right.
Now, I'm going to get to something that will be on a personal level. What is the funniest unscripted moment in a performance that has happened to you?
I've had quite a few. I was doing a club meeting one time, and people said, "Tell us about when things go wrong." And everybody had a story about, "Oh, this one time my candle broke. Oh, I was one time and the thing fell out of the bottom," and everybody saw how the trick works. And I didn't say anything. And somebody finally said, "Well, Jim, you do more shows than the rest of us. Whatever happened to you that went wrong?" And I said, "There's never been anything go wrong in one of my shows. At least not so far as the audience knew."
There you go.
My goal is to cover stuff like that. So when I do have something funny happen, I try to build it into the show like it was part of the show. Every once in a while, I get something really funny that comes up, and usually it's stuff kids say. Kids see things in a little different way, or they don't quite understand things in the same way, and sometimes they say something innocently. I'll give you one of the better examples. I had a puppet, and it was a possum, and I was trying to explain some characteristics of the possum. And I said, the possum is nocturnal. And I was about to explain that when a kid right in the front row jumps up and yells, "He's not a turtle." Oh. I'm like, that's funny. That's a great line. And I don't know if the kid really misunderstood, or he didn't hear it, or he just had never heard the word nocturnal before. Some of the kids knew what that word meant, but the fact that he didn't know what it meant, and he came up with this line, was a really funny moment in the show. And guess what happened to that line?
It got added to your show?
Absolutely, went right in the script. I used that same line for the rest of the summer. Every time I brought that puppet out, it was like, "Hey, this is my possum, and he's nocturnal." And then, of course, the puppet turns to me and says, "What do you mean I'm not a turtle?"
And that's great. That's the best way to do it. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Well, we're on funny, so I guess that is funny. Now, I want to ask you again. The questions get harder as we go. What makes you funny?
I think probably what makes me funny is that I watch a lot of comedy, and listen to a lot of comedy from other people. I'm a big fan of stand-up comics, so I listen to them on the radio all the time. In fact, I have the Comedy Channel on the radio a lot.
XM Sirius type of thing?
XM Sirius, satellite radio, Comedy Channel. Actually, there's 3 or 4 different comedy channels. There's one that's so raunchy, it's not funny. I'm not sure why they call that.
I was listening to that the other day and it had George Carlin on it. So yeah, it was, yeah.
George Carlin could be raunchy and funny. Yeah. Most of these guys just swear a whole bunch. But most of the stand-up comics work really hard to twist a word or a phrase and do it over and over and over again until they get the right sequence of letters, the right timing, the right number of pauses. They're on the radio because they know how to make it funny. And that's one of the things I've learned from watching and listening to other people, particularly stand-up comics. Just because you think of 2 things that are incongruous, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be funny. Usually when I think of something that's funny, I have to rewrite it, at least in my head, so that I get the timing right, the pauses right. You don't want to telegraph it too early. You don't want to shoot for the ending too soon. And I think what makes me funny is that I literally sit and seriously think about how to take something that's a little bit funny and make it more funny.
And that's why you have such a library of amazing material. And seriously, I'm going to tell you, anything that Jim makes is going to be good quality stuff. And I go buy it all. So seriously. Again, I
tell them how many times they have to rewrite each of those books until they're that good.
Oh, you tell me how many times.
Exactly.
So now we know how you are funny. We need the final question is for other people, and you've touched on it, but maybe we can elaborate a little bit more. What does it take to be funny?
I think the thing it takes to be funny is to think. Most people think they're funny because they've blurted out the first thing that came to their head. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's funny, and usually in a personal situation, if you're talking with friends, you're having drinks, you're eating hamburgers at the Red Robin or something, somebody's going to say something that's funny. But if you just go back and repeat that, it's not going to be funny. You need to put that in a setting or a context if you're going to use it in a show or even use it again in another social setting. And you need to think about what was said first as a setup and how that leads to the ending or the punchline of it, and rewrite it so that it's going to be at its funniest. And that's what most people don't do. They take a line they heard or something they thought was funny and they just say that. Putting the right timing behind it and putting it in the right context will improve everybody's comedy. You can do that a lot. You can do a lot for yourself if you sit down and rewrite so that it comes out better.
Like what you're saying is rewrite. Yeah. And I did it in Comedy 3. Yeah. So, thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And this has been a pleasure for me, seriously. And again, this is the DIY Magician. Until next time, we're on the hunt for how to be funny. If you enjoyed that video, join the Learn to Entertain YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the DIY Magician, join the DIY Magician Facebook group or artist page. And if you are a professional entertainer, you may want to join the DIY Magic Facebook group. Thank you again and enjoy.